She's not strong as your counselor. You need to make her stronger. Get us confident.
I believe in her. I believe in you. Okay, here we go. We talked yesterday. We talked yesterday about the war in Europe. That Napoleon had begun his conquest of Europe. And it got the United States in a pickle. At first we thought we were going to do pretty well with trade with both countries. But the British Navy ruled the high seas, and in 1807 they passed a series of laws known as the Orders in Council, which forbid any American ship from entering any port under the control of France. The French saw that particular order and basically countered with a similar law, and because of this, both countries were violating the long-standing principle of freedom of the seas. Yep.
So how come we didn't get mad at them for making rules for us?
Well, because Jefferson did not want war.
So then, they can just be like, hey, totally different country can't sail to a totally different country's port.
Yeah, you can say that. You can say that if they're not willing to do anything about it, which we were not because of the situation we're in militarily. So, as a result, Jefferson took all American ships off the high seas until the conflict ended. Okay? Now that will take us to our new subtopic today, which is the Embargo Act of 1807. Now, everybody has passed a law about forbidding American ships from entering foreign ports except for who? Us. So President Jefferson wanted to end this continuing American conflict with Great Britain and France, and to ensure this would occur, American ships, as we mentioned, would have to stay off the high seas. So what Jefferson did is he urged the Republican Congress to pass a law called an embargo. And this law would officially forbid American ships to trade with any foreign country, including Great Britain and France. So he was trying to make a statement that, in a way, Megan, he's not kowtowing to just two countries. What he's making this embargo say is, we're not going to trade with any foreign countries, including Great Britain or France. Yes, Taylor?
So was the embargo more on us as opposed to other countries?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, it really was. It was an embargo upon us. And this law that Jefferson urged Congress to pass that forbid American ships to trade with any foreign country, including Great Britain and France, would be referred to in history as the Embargo Act of 1807. So basically what this does is, if you can't trade with any foreign country, it basically doesn't forbid you to actually leave for any foreign port. Basically, what he's saying is that the ships will not leave American waters. So he's basically parked American ships from even going out and making any attempt to trade with any foreign country. So we're basically forbidding our own ships the principle of what? Freedom of the seas. And everybody wholeheartedly supported this. Do you figure in America? No. What three specific groups, give me one maybe, that would not think this was very good? Merchants, absolutely. Merchants were mad because they couldn't ship their products. So merchants are obviously going to be mad. Who else is going to be mad? Why? They're out of a job. He's exactly right. Sailors are upset because they've now become unemployed and aren't receiving any salary. But what other group of people that are instrumental to merchants would be upset? Farmers. Very good. Farmers. They can't sell their crops to the merchants because the merchants can't take the crops and trade with other countries. And sailors are also upset because they all of a sudden have become unemployed. So this doesn't go over real well with merchants, farmers, and sailors. Now, what's going to happen here, Shania? What are these merchants going to do? And they're going to do what? They're going to circumvent the law. Okay, what are they going to do? How are you going to enforce that all over our shorelines, right? So what happens is American merchants began to smuggle goods across the border to Canada. Okay, they start smuggling goods across the border to Canada and at least trading with the Canadians, right? Okay, so they're smuggling goods across the border. Well, some of them also filled their ships to the brim because they could anticipate this embargo coming and just set sail for Britain and France and didn't come back. You see what I'm saying? They continued to trade after the embargo because they left the ports full of merchandise, and basically when they got overseas, they traded under British or French licenses. Because of the embargo, was their license legal? No, they went over, talked to the British or French and said, hey, if you give us a license, we'll trade with you. We won't trade with France. And they did this, you know, certain American ships trade with France and some with Britain. Well, who do you think of those groups yelled the loudest demanding the repeal of the Embargo Act? Merchants, yes. Especially New England merchants. New England merchants went nuts. And they really demanded the repeal of the Embargo Act because they really have the most to lose, don't they? I mean, the farmers are going to have their crops and could possibly store their crops for later, but who's really out of business totally? Merchants. Sailors are not out of business or out of work, but there wasn't enough of those for them to care about them yelling. There's a lot of wealthy New England merchants who really raised hell. Do we listen to people that don't matter in our society? That's unfortunate. Nobody listens to sailors. But money talks, and you know what walks. And so when these New England merchants got crazy and demanded the repeal of the Embargo Act, it really started the ball rolling. Now, did farmers and unemployed sailors also voice their discontent? Sure they did. So after this happened, finally on March 1st, 1809, because of the pressure he was getting, President Jefferson asked Congress to repeal the Embargo Act. So finally, after a ton of pressure, on March 1st, 1809, Jefferson gave in and asked Congress to repeal the Embargo Act. And they did repeal it. And ironically, it was just 3 days before what happened? Think about the timeline. 3 days before what? That's right, 3 days, very good. 3 days before Jefferson left office as President of the United States. So this problem's going to be somebody else's to deal with, right? Because the Embargo Act is lifted by Congress just 3 days before Jefferson left office. Now you understand that wasn't March 1st, right? Because he asked Congress to repeal it on March 1st, and they took some little bit of time and repealed it just 3 days before Jefferson left office. Okay, that is it. That's the lecture. So now we're going to go to the review. Okay, so this will kind of go in order. So if you get your notes out, it'll be easier. Now, did you want to tell me something, Beth, before we started?
Yes, he does.
You want to tell me that she doesn't want to take the test on Wednesday because
I'm gonna be gone.
you're going to be gone Wednesday?
Yeah.
I just said who's going to be gone Wednesday, and you didn't raise your hand. Where are you
You
going
raise
to
your hand, you just didn't see her.
No, I'm not.
be? Where are you going to be gone?
I'm gonna be in town.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, what time? You sure you know what time you guys are leaving?
I'm not for sure.
Okay,
Where
before
you
this
going?
gets too far, Mr.
What?
We're not, we're kind of just.
Not really.
Where are you going?
Cody,
Oh, you won't leave. What time do you start?
you start, JV will start, JV will start at 5.
So you need to be there by 4.
4:30.
Because
No,
we
no,
met
Wayne's
earlier.
are four.
When we went
Wayne's
to
are
Cody, we
four.
left
Wayne's are
halfway.
4. Yeah, so JV will be at 5 and Barnes at 6:30.
Well, that's not how
That's what it has on the
like
schedule that it starts.
But the test is.
Beautiful, we do, I see.